Leave a mark to achieve your contribution goals. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. This month we're focusing on contribution goals for this year's annual challenge. Today is day 2077 of this segment, What's She Up To Now? I just called it What's She Up To Now years ago now because I needed a place to document my journey. I journal and write a lot of things down. For example, this is last year's annual challenge journal. I keep a lot of journals and write things down, but as my vision has faded, I don't know, I mentioned periodically that I have massive vision challenges. I'm legally blind at this point. And so I do what I can do with what I've got right now and continue to move forward. But I also have to get creative in my solutions. What do I do to keep track of what I'm doing? And as today's idiom is, leave my mark. How am I leaving my mark? How am I leaving the world? Am I leaving things behind in the world that make it a better place? I get to decide that, I guess. Everybody can judge it for themselves, but I get to decide for me what is contribution. That was our topic today, was what's your definition of contribution? Are you being an example for the world and making the world a better place? Or are you being a warning? I guarantee that in my lifetime, I have actually been both. I've been a warning sometimes in how not to behave and how not to show up and how not to react or respond to certain situations, as well as a great example of how to respond and react to emergencies and situations. I can think of situations where I responded textbook well and then dealt with it emotionally after the fact, and other situations where I dealt with something emotionally and wish now that I had taken 5 deep breaths and then responded to the situation versus just reacting emotionally. And so we will be a combination of things we want, both examples and warnings throughout our lifetime. But what is the mark, the true legacy we want to leave? That's what we'll be talking about all this month. Again, leave your mark was our idiom for Supersize Your Business today. And it's one of those that doesn't have a distinct, this is where it started, this is where it originated, this is who started it and when it started. It has probably developed over time as human beings have contemplated the big questions all the way back to the earliest, philosophical thinkers and leaders. Why are we here? What is our life about? What is the purpose of our life? So I'm sure we'll touch on that this month as well, because I spent literally years trying to figure out what was my purpose. Why am I here? And it took a sudden cardiac arrest before I had that light bulb moment to realize that, oh, I'm making this way harder and way more complicated than it has to be. So our topic today was just like everything else. We need to define what contribution means to us. And it changes over the course of our lifetime. When I was younger, contribution was going to school, getting good grades, getting my degree, doing the best I could to develop as a teenager and a 20-something student and worker. And I was also a business owner back then. But just to survive and create an income and a lifestyle for myself and those I love and care about. And then over time, once I had kids, boom, that really changed, right? Because it wasn't just about me or my husband and I. It was about our son and our daughter, and now it's about my granddaughters, right? I want to make sure that I am loving them to the best of my ability, teaching them the life lessons that I learned the hard way so that they don't have to learn them. And I mean that in a soft skills way. One of the coolest things my daughter has taught her 2-year-old is, if you've ever had kids, you know what I'm talking about. 2s go through this massive change as they're coming into using language and they're dealing with their own emotions. And she taught her how to take a deep breath. So now when she's upset, my granddaughter will say, "Mommy, take a deep breath." It's the cutest thing I've ever seen, but it's such a powerful thing because I guarantee that is something my granddaughter will be using her entire life to not only calm down herself and give herself a pause to respond and react in a way she wants to, or to stop when she's having a tantrum. Yes, she does have little 2-year-old tantrums in its tracks. And then she'll probably teach that to her daughter or her son someday, or to other people that she interacts and works with. So that is an example, a small example of positively impacting other people, setting an example, and creating a legacy that goes far beyond us and our lifetime and the actions that we think we have here. Now, we leave a mark on every single person we meet, and they leave a mark on us. And I don't mean that it's just the truth. Everybody, and it took me a long time to understand this, people come into our lives and situations and things come into our life for a time period, usually to teach or show us something, right? And we get disappointed when people come into our lives and then they leave before we want them to leave. But it's all to teach and show us something. And if we're looking for the lessons, if we're looking for the message in, well, why did that happen in my life? Why did that happen to me? Poor me, I'm a victim. Why did that situation show up at this time in my life? And usually we don't ever do that until after it's happened and we've gotten over the emotional impact of the incident, before we can sit back and reflect on and say, okay, well, that happened. What am I going to do about it? Or what does it mean? And what am I going to do to make sure that I don't have that bad thing happen in my life again? Or so next time I'm in a situation like this, I handle it in a way that it goes more smoothly. I have so many examples of this in my life and in other people's lives, but until we learn the lesson, it'll keep happening. I truly believe that until we figure out what an event is there to teach us, we will keep getting not that exact event again, but something that causes a similar emotional impact on us until we deal with it in the way that shows that we learned the lesson. Let me see if I can give you an example of that. First time I lost my job, I was emotionally devastated. I took it personally and I felt awful, right? Now, guess what? About 5 years later, I lost another job. And again, I took it better this time, but I still took it personally and I was still hurt about it to a certain degree, not to the extent of the first time, but the second time, I handled it a little better. And then the third time that this happened to me, because guess what? Business changes, life changes, we change all the time. And I knew the third time was coming because the organization was being sold, and it made business sense for me to lose my job because I made like 5 times more than anyone else in my department. And I trained my team up to the point where any one of about 4 or 5 people could have stepped into the role as it was going to be moving forward with the new owner, because they had their own they had their own management team, and they were going to spread that leadership team over us. They were just acquiring us as part of as a bigger conglomerate, right? You know how companies buy smaller companies and other companies and bring them into their fold. And some people stay, some people leave. And so I knew I was going to go. So I had a lot of time to prep my team, prepare myself, and think about the situation. What was most different in this situation was I didn't take it personally at all because it wasn't personal. And the previous times I had made it personal when it really wasn't either. They were business decisions too, but I didn't see that at the time. And as we grow and as we mature and as we see more, and then we learned that lesson. And guess what? I never lost a job after that. Not that I had very many jobs after that or clients after that, because I learned that the lesson was it wasn't about me. It wasn't personal, and it wasn't about me. And when we take things personally and they're not about us, guess what? We get our feelings hurt and we don't necessarily respond and react in the way that we would want. So that's my quick example there. That's all I've got today. I totally overslept today, and I realized how discombobulated I get when I don't follow my own time schedule and morning routine. I am one of those people that gets up at the same time every day of the week, no matter what holiday, day off, day on, whatever. Every day I get up at the same time. And today I decided that I was going to roll over and just sleep a few more minutes or rest and think about my affirmations for a few more minutes. Lo and behold, I fell asleep for like 2 hours, and it totally gets me off my game. Guess what? Nothing's going on that I can't fix. And I actually must have needed the rest because I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I need to have the perspective that it supercharged and energized me, not that I started my day late. Again, we have the ability to change our perception and change our mind about anything like that, right? We just need to give ourselves permission and do it more often. Flip that switch. I love that Lynn Grabhorn strategy. It's called the flip switch. We'll talk about it, I'm sure, this month again. All right, that's all I've got. If I can help you anyway, ask. Pajamagrandma@gmail.com is my Voxer handle. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow.